care that Shohei Ohtani, the face of baseball, is potentially involved in a sports betting scandal? Like, does that do it for anyone?
Well, I guess where I come down on this...
Because no one cared for Calvin Ridley, but he's not on the level of a Shohei Ohtani.
No one cared.
And no one cared about who was it? Jameson Williams, some other guys of the Detroit Lions. Like, no one cared.
And we also laugh at Charles Barkley. I don't think people care about Charles Barkley and his gambling habits, do they?
No, and we'll bring up the face of the NBA, the guy who's on my shoes right now, Michael Jordan, laughed about it.
Yeah.
He called it a hobby of his. And there was allegations that people thought that he took a year off because of gambling debt. Now, that was not true. I don't think that's true, but people thought that, and it's turned into a joke. Like, we're just laughing at this?
No, I don't.
We kind of are, but like, is it like, I don't know how to take the seriousness of all this, because right now, no charges have been brought against Ohtani. He is not currently under investigation with anything right now. All we know is that his interpreter was fired, and that he stated he was the one placing the bets, and that Ohtani was covering for him, and that he, felt bad and he wanted to help his boy out. But once all the people close to Ohtani caught wind of this, they're like, no. Because you're messing with my money now. If I'm a lawyer, if I'm any other business partner, this can't be your name attached to this. So you're not taking any of the blame. This guy's taking all the blame, and we're going to see what unfolds going forward.
However you consume media, whether it be one of the Fox, CNN, MSNBC modes on television, whether it's The Athletic or ESPN.com.
I just turn on 95.7 The Game on the Odyssey app or on Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
That's why I love you. However you're consuming, where you're getting information from, this is the top story. This is humongous. But I guess
it's massive.
And look, I don't want to diminish this.
He is the biggest name in sports today. Not even close. I don't care if it's Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's Lionel Messi. I don't care if it's, who's my guy, Alcaraz, Novak Djokovic, Steph Curry, LeBron James. Shohei Ohtani is the face of sports right now.
Absolutely.
Sports.
Absolutely. And they're overseas promoting the game, and there's an entire stadium filled with people with Ohtani jerseys.
Everyone.
I mean,
everyone in Korea.
And,
yes.
and it's humongous. I mean, the fact that this guy admitted he has a wife became a huge... What happened there?
I just broke the mic. Hold on.
Are you okay over there? Wow, the arm of the microphone just pulled a Steiny out.
I blame Steiny or Willard for this because they also adjusted a bunch, but you know what? We'll power through.
It's okay.
Pivot, don't panic.
There you go. Thank you.
Like if I say like someone has an alcohol or drug addiction problem, I think a lot of people understand that there's someone in their life that might have that same thing, and they understand the severity of it. And it's not that it's a laughing matter, but that individual needs to get their life in order. And obviously you don't want them driving vehicles because then others can be hurt and things like that. But when we have these gambling things, I always hear from people like, well, no one's getting hurt, right? And I always talk to Matt Nahigian, who is very well established when it comes to like, he's sensitive to the entire gambling thing because he's seen firsthand what it can do to a family and what it can do to an individual. But when you have the kinds of money that we're talking about here, 4.5 million, right? For some reason, we detach all of the negativity associated with it. And I guess where I come down on it is like, I'm not sure how to weigh whether we should be goofing and laughing about it, or is this a very, very serious thing? Because if you do have the money to be able to pay for it, yes, it can be an addiction, but I can also file it under hobby. And so there's a huge gray area, I guess, is where I'm going at with this.
So this is a massive story, obviously. And to your point, Joe, I just want to make sure we're getting all of our facts, all of our ducks in a row, because I want to make sure that we are, sticking to the script here of what we know. So this is all from an article via Tisha Thompson, ESPN, their investigative reporter, about Shohei Ohtani firing his interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, in regards to a $4.5 million wire transfer sent from Ohtani's bank. And this is who it was sent to. So this is from the article. Quote, "The developments this week came as federal investigators are examining the operation run by Southern California bookmaker Matthew Boyer. The wire transfer payments were sent from Ohtani's account to an associate of Boyer's, according to multiple sources and bank data reviewed by ESPN. Multiple sources, including Mizuhara, told ESPN that Ohtani does not gamble and that the funds covered Mizuhara's losses. But the fact that Ohtani's name is on there, on the transfer, everyone's going to just, you got to speculate on that. Like, fair or not, like, your name is on there, dude.
100%.
Like, that's just what's going to happen. And these are, in the court of public opinion, I don't think he's ever going to get away from this. People, whether he likes it or not, or whether we agree or not, people are going to assume he was gambling on his sport, on other sports, illegally, what have you. That's just, it's going to be a stain on his career regardless because of his name being attached to that wire transfer.
Like when I say Calvin Ridley, do you think immediately of his suspension?
Well, now that you didn't bring it up, but Calvin Ridley's not on this level.
I know. I understand that.
So when I think of Calvin Ridley, I think of a guy that just signed a bunch of money that didn't live up to that contract, that missed a year because of the gambling. Though.
How about Jameson Williams, who was also in trouble for the same thing and got suspended to a lesser degree?
A little bit.
Okay.
But again, not a big enough name for me.
I would agree with you on that one. I would agree with you. I mean, this would be the equivalent of Patrick Mahomes wiring X amount of dollars on behalf of somebody who would be in his crew.
His brother.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, this is a big one. I mean, $4.5 million. Yeah. I mean, that is not. It's
crazy.
Crazy amount of money. Here's the question that I have: like, how much? If that's true, let's take it at face value. Okay, how much does this guy make in a year? Where you could just wire $4.5 million on his behalf? Like, what's the interpreter making?
Well, that's a great question. And sources close to, again, this is from the ESPN article from Tisha Thompson. Sources close to the gambling operation told ESPN that Boyer dealt directly with Mizuhara, who placed bets on international soccer matches and other sports, but not baseball, starting in 2021. So this has been happening for a few years now. A source said Boyer was aware of the name on the wire transfers, but chose not to ask any questions as long as payments came in. Smart. I don't care whose name it is. I want my money, right?
Does Shohei not have a financial advisor? He's just walking to the bank and because he ever done a wire transfer?
I have never had that much money in my life, so maybe I can't speak to that. Maybe that's chump change for him.
So I paid my contract. Stature. Let me just give you.
But to your point, that's not a great look.
No, when I paid my contractors via wire transfers, okay, because it was an easy way to do it. There are limits. Now, my account is not the Shohei Ohtani account, but there are limits, and there are like two-step. What do they call it? Verifications before you can do certain transfers. And some transfers are so large that you have to go in person into the bank. I just, man, the fact that they did this not knowing, I got so many questions.
There's so many.
Like, the number one question to me is like, are we sure Ohtani wasn't betting himself?
Well, that's what you have to immediately go to.
Yes.
Like, was this guy betting on games? Like that's what brings up. That's why this could
Do you care if he was betting on games?
A little bit, right? Like
does it matter if it's baseball or not baseball?
If it was betting on his own game, because that's, again, this goes back. Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame because of this.
Yes.
Like, and he is one of the greatest players in the history of the sport, the greatest leadoff hitter, contact hitters, whatever you want to say, in the history of the game. And he is not in the Hall of Fame. Something that really, I think it does deep down, it hurts him.
No, I think it's the most overly penal thing that's ever happened. The guy did it. We got it. He served his punishment. No one loves baseball more than Pete Rose. He has 4,000 hits. What are we doing? He served his suspension long enough. And if you're going to take the DraftKings money, MLB, and you're going to go to Vegas, like you're saying,
it seems hypocritical.
The walls need to come down on this.
Exactly. And do I expect anything to happen to Ohtani after this? Honestly, deep down, Joe, I don't think anything's going to happen to him. I think he got a quote unquote potentially a fall guy, if you will, in Mizuhara, is his homie apparently, he's 39 and Ohtani's 29. I guess back in high school, Ohtani met Mizuhara because he was teaching a class to a bunch of the baseball players and stuff. Mizuhara grew up in Southern California. He was born in Japan, but he grew up in SoCal.
Okay.
So he is an American, and he went over there, teaching English, all that sort of stuff to these guys. Ohtani and him hit it off. And so when Ohtani came to the bigs, he wanted Mizuhara as his personal translator. They're really good friends. They go to games every single day. So like, this is his homie.
He was in the dugout the night before, laughing it up,
right? Like,
he's also, by the way,
and Ohtani knew about all this. That's the thing too. Ohtani knows about all of this. It's not until the lawyers and the business partners like caught wind of this and are like, "Hey, you got to distance yourself, dude. Like you just got to get away.
Well, and the fact that the story
because
has
they're messing
changed
with their
this
money
much.
too, Joe. Like that's the thing. The business part.
The story changed this much, but this fast too. I mean,
Yes.
this was like the day ago. He's like, yeah, he was helped me out. He was paying this money. In 90 minutes, he sits down with ESPN and basically sings the whole song. And then the next day, it's like, no, all that was a lie. He stole the money. Like that fast is how this thing.
Because
flipped.
I think that they got wind of you did just wire money to an illegal betting operation. Like that's where the whole thing like boils down to. And I guess if you're wiring that kind of, is that federal? So we need somebody who understands law a little more than we do.
Well,
because
we're going to talk to David Sampson, who was a president with the Marlins
whole
for
thing's
15
fishy.
years. And he's going to join us at 8:30. Also, Chris Rose, 8 o'clock. John Boy Media does a great job talking all things baseball. I wonder what his reaction was when he saw this because I have a tremendous amount of respect for Chris Rose. He also works for NFL Network, amongst others. Mizuhara, the interpreter, former interpreter, I should say, said that he previously had placed bets via DraftKings.
oh, see what did
And
I say?
assumed
What did I
bets,
say?
and it assumed the bets placed through Boyer were legal. So, did he not? He grew up in SoCal. Like he has to know these things.
So if I wanted,
that's the thing. I'm willing to a certain extent if you're a foreign citizen and you've just been in the country for a couple of years, like Ohtani has. Okay, he grew up here. He grew up in Southern California. Like that's just sports gambling hasn't been legal here ever. Still not. So I don't understand. He thinks it's legal via DraftKings and all that, and through like this whole thing is just. It feels like we're at the tip of an iceberg. And by the way, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. And don't forget that you can also watch us on every day on our Twitch and YouTube streams. Just log on and search 95.7 The Game. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel while you are there. Brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union. Upgrade your savings dividend. Open a First NorCal First Class Money Market today. Shout out to the Comcast Business text line. And also this segment is sponsored by Golden State Lumber, serving the Bay Area for 3 generations. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit goldenstatelumber.com. Pete Rose, 8 o'clock. David Sampson, 8:30. What we're talking about
so we're
right
gonna get
now.
Pete Rose at 8 o'clock.
Oh, did I say Pete Rose?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Chris Rose.
Okay, I was gonna say
Maybe
wow.
related to Pete. I'm not sure. But
Now,
Chris Rose.
You
8
bring
o'clock.
up the DraftKings thing, just so that we're all clear here. And this is where I'm telling you, there's a huge gray area. DraftKings is a co-exclusive official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball, as well as BetMGM. And it's part of the expanded relationship. DraftKings is the exclusive official daily fantasy sports partner of Major League Baseball.